Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 21 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So, last time we kind of finished off the entire big battle thing. The villains started to flee. Gojo broke through the barrier and got involved. Yeah, a lot of fun little stuff there. And it looks like one of the bad guys has been captured, thanks to Gojo just kind of annihilating his limbs. And so he's going to be interrogated. Don't know how well that's going to go, but yeah. So I think it's very clear to say that the school event is canceled. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because we still have 4 episodes in this season. Excuse me. So I guess we're going to have some kind of little, in a way, mini arc to close this out. Definitely interested to see what they do with this. But I'm going to tell you guys now that even though there's 4 episodes left, there's only 2 weeks left. Well, 1 week left after today. Because next week we will be doing the final 3 episodes together. And the reasoning for this is actually very simple. I need the slot. I need the open slot for something that's going to be starting. There's quite a few things that are starting, but I specifically need this slot now. And it's like I could wait like another extra week, but I don't want to. It's as simple as that. I don't want to. I don't want to wait another extra week after that. So, and it's like I can get recording it right away, and I will pre-record it right away. But yeah, I don't want to wait. So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to open up this slot. Things are going to work out. Everything, every type of slot we still have going will still be represented as we go into the future. It's just things might not be like at all points up there together. Basically what I'm saying is, you know how this is a first impression slot. Well, what I'm saying is there might be a short period of time where a first impression series is not on there. Excuse me. And it's not due to any like bad reasons or anything. It's just because of how timing works out with all the stuff that's coming up this fall that I want to react to. It's like I kind of have to like move some things around here and there. So yeah, it's kind of at a position where I have to make some decisions. I have to make some changes. And I might have to switch some things around a little bit. So there might be a little bit of time there where there's no first impressions continuation series going. But that will be rectified as quick as possible. So, just letting you know that if that's the case, that's only temporary. And obviously, poll series, donation rewards will always be going. But yeah. This is just it's easier than like trying to fit in another double reaction day if I can help it. Because I've talked about this in like another video or two, but there's just so much coming out this fall that I want to react to. There's My Little Pony Make Your Mark. There's Chucky Season 2. We have the return of Spy Family. We have Bleach, whenever the dub for that comes out, because I will be specifically waiting on the dub. We have Dragon Prince Season 4 in November. And we have Owl House, though that's not going to be put on the schedule, because we're only getting one of the 3 episodes this year, apparently. We're only getting the first episode this year, then the next 2 will come at some point next year. I don't know why. That's entirely stupid. But that's how it's being handled. So that's just not going to be put on the schedule. That's just going to come separately. But still, there's a bunch of stuff that I have to make room for, that I have to figure out. And so it's like I got to figure out exactly when I'm putting certain things where and how to figure it out. And yeah. So I just want to open up this slot for now. And then I'll go from there after, basically. That is the idea. But we'll see how it ends up going from there. Things can change. If I feel like I really want to get to something quicker, I can open up another slot to a second show, having a second show in the same slot again. Because I did that during the summer where I had 2 slots that had 2 shows each, and it's like I could do that again. It wouldn't kill me. It would just maybe be a little more annoying. But I could do it if I feel the need to. If I feel like I really need to get to something a little quicker. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, I'll keep you all updated on that. But back to Jujutsu Kaisen stuff. So yeah. We have 4 episodes left, and I don't really know how this is going to end. But based on the timing, we should be good to get to the movie, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, pretty much right away after these episodes are done. Because the movie's coming to Crunchyroll very soon. So we'll be able to react to it, like, almost right away. So that should be all fine. And we will obviously be reacting to that, and then season 2 next year when that comes out. But yeah. So we're going to figure this out. If things need to be moved around or switched around or figured out, again, I'll update you in a separate video. But for now, Jujutsu Kaisen, we've got a few more episodes to go. Next week will be the last 3 together. And hopefully it ends off really well. Hopefully it's not like... Hopefully there's some setup for the future rather than just being, fallout from what happened here. Not that the fallout is bad. It's just I want there to be a little bit of both, Setting up for the future is what this should do at the end of a season. And at the end of kind of a big arc like we've had. Because let's be honest, this past arc was huge. With the school exchange event and then the invasion by the curses. It's like, this was a pretty big deal. It built upon characters. It introduced new characters. It showcased some new cool Jujutsu powers and all. As well as kind of built up the, in a way, hierarchy and everything going on with the higher ups. Well, not really the hierarchy of them, but kind of built up their kind of political inner workings a little bit, showcasing the ideas of like the different clans and how they're run and how they're running themselves into a shithole, and how it's affecting the young members of them. But it's also showing how these, like, different people, like, even act around each other, such as with the Kyoto principal and Gojo, or just what they think of people like Yuji. So it gave us a lot of things to think about. But like I said, I'm definitely interested to see how it ends. I don't know what to expect, but we'll see. So we're just going to get this started and hope for the best. When the screen fades black, pause the redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was an interesting episode. It felt like filler, but I don't think it was. Like, I've obviously never read the manga, so I don't know for sure. And there's some people out there who argue about, like, okay, what does filler really mean and everything. And it's just like, it's a really flat out simple term. It basically just means anything that was added to an adaptation that wasn't originally part of the source material. It's in this situation, it's mainly used for anime adaptations where it's like, oh, this was not in the original manga. It's there to fill time in order to, you know, either buff out a season to get the right run length, or if the manga is still ongoing, to make it so it doesn't catch up too quickly. And normally something like this would feel like filler, but I don't think it was, because it was part of the exchange event. So I don't think this was filler. But I might be wrong. For all I know, in the manga, the exchange event actually might have ended. But I don't know. Either way, so this episode was definitely aftermath. It definitely focused on the aftermath of the attack and everything, on what everyone's doing now and how they're handling going forward. We see that the students who got hurt are recovering. We see that the teachers and everything have found out about the missing fingers, and the curses themselves are also taking time to recover while preparing for Halloween, which apparently is going to be when a big attack is going to happen. Meanwhile, the teachers decide not to tell the students about the missing fingers and everything, just feeling that it's not the right timing and everything to let them know about that kind of thing. And it's just, they don't need to, basically. But they do decide to keep the exchange event going. And apparently, the exchange event's second stage is done with a randomized draw. So it's not always like one-on-one battle, so that tends to be the case most of the time. It could be something else. And this year, apparently Gojo put in baseball. Like, I think that it was pretty clear that he did that. And so that was drawn by the students. And so the second part of the exchange event was a baseball game. And again, normally this kind of thing, like having the characters of a shonen battle anime play baseball against each other, would very much feel like filler. But because of the context behind it, I just don't think it was. But we get to see the game. It's baseball, outside of a few ridiculous things, mostly from the Kyoto branch. Seeing them like use a pitching machine and just call it Mechamaru, even though it's so blatantly not. And Momo being allowed to use her broom to fly and everything, which is very much cheating. And even so, Tokyo wins. Despite the fact that the Kyoto branch is very clearly cheating. Tokyo still wins. And we get to see some interesting moments during the game as well, such as the one guy, I can't remember his name, but, you know, he was one of the Kyoto branch's most aggressive when it came to dealing with Yuji. He agreed with the principle that Yuji shouldn't exist and that they should kill him. He was actually kind of the most gung-ho about that out of all of them. Of the students, I should say. So, to see him, like, genuinely connecting with Yuji here, just asking him, it's like, oh, why did you decide to become a Jujutsu sorcerer? And then once hearing his reason about, you know, helping save others in order to build these bonds so that when he dies, he has plenty of people surrounding him, it allows him to think of his own goal to, you know, reach his mother after he gains that kind of level that he needs to. And so he straight up tells Itadori before being struck out, because he's not paying attention, that's a good reason. He straight up acknowledges him. And it's actually kind of a big deal, honestly. And we see Maki throws a beaner at Todo and just absolutely destroys him, and everyone there just like compliments Maki, even Mai, just because they all hate Todo. And that was funny. Plus, also, always give compliments to Maki. She deserves them. But yeah, that was great. And we see that it looks like the Homer was hit by Yuji, of all of them to hit the Homer. We got to see some interactions between the characters just in general and everything. Mai kind of being an absolute asshole to Nobara and somehow reaching a conclusion that, oh, you know a lot about robots, don't you? You must be an otaku. It's like, what? Huh? How did you make that leap? What? All because she was complaining about the use of a pitching machine? What? I think Mai is just trying to antagonize Nobara. Which, you know, it's Mai, that makes sense. Because, like, even with what we learned about her, like even Nobara pointed out back then, that doesn't excuse her actions or her attitude towards people. Maki went through the same kind of things and didn't turn out that way. It's not an excuse. So it's like, Mai is just kind of a bitch. I don't like her. Like, I feel like that episode before, when it did explain her backstory, was trying to make us feel sympathetic towards her and everything. But it did not work for me. And again, for the exact same reasons that Nobara stated. So, it's like, I don't know what the what the series wants me to think about her, because it literally told us why her excuses and all were bullshit, but it also feels like they're trying to use that as reason to feel sorry for her. And it's like, I can't. Uh, but one of the other big things we kind of, I guess you could say, find out is that, according to him at least, the Kyoto principal, I don't remember his name. Don't ask me to remember his name. According to him, it's not about whether he likes or hates Yuji. In fact, he almost kind of implies that he doesn't hate him, that he has absolutely nothing against Yuji as a person. The problem is he doesn't see him as a person because of just traditional Jujutsu law. We see that he seems to be one of those people who is so stuck on tradition and the rule of law that that's all he cares about. That must be followed no matter what, even if it's at the expense of someone else. We see that he's like, according to Jujutsu law, he shouldn't exist. And so we've got to follow that. And it's like, it's just this kind of blind obedience. And even though it paints him in less of a antagonistic light than it had before, when you thought it was just out of like pure bigotry and hatred, it's still not okay. Because there's still bigotry there, and he still feels that this rule of law is more important than a person's life. And again, he still doesn't even, we still have nothing to say he even sees Yuji as a person. So, like, what is there really to like about him? He's the kind of character who represents the kind of real life people that I really hate. The kind of tradition oriented, conservative leaders who put those traditions, those policies, those ideals above human lives. And especially those who view certain people as not even human, or at the very least not as human as them. Whether that be through racism, sexism, queerphobia, no matter what kind of bigotry it is, it's still bigotry. And that's definitely the kind of vibe that he gives off. And so, even with this, trying to show like he's just following tradition and everything, it's like that doesn't excuse anything in actuality. It just makes it so it's like, oh, we find out that he's not really as specifically spiteful against Yuji. It's more of a wide, encompassing bigotry that's based and steeped in tradition and just his standard values and beliefs. It's still beyond fucked up. And at least our Tokyo principal, again, don't ask me to remember names. At least he's saying he doesn't know what to do with Yuji. That the situation is like unexpected for him and he doesn't know how to handle it. I feel is more honest and not steeped in terrible shit. He's just saying he doesn't know because there is a certain danger, but he's also, as he's telling the Kyoto principal, it's like he's also saved a lot of people. He's also doing good. Like, whether you think he's dangerous or not, he's still helping. And he's still, fulfilling his duties as a Jujutsu sorcerer well. And so it's like he's saying he doesn't know what to do because he sees, like, yeah, there is a certain danger there. But he's also seeing that there's also a lot of good there. And that kind of does leave him a little mixed. And that's fair. That's honest. Without being an asshole. Without being a piece of shit. But the Kyoto principal, yeah, his excuse was not great. But yeah, so this episode was definitely meant to just kind of bring us back while still building up for the future and just kind of giving us like everybody's mindset following the events of this invasion and everything. And kind of the biggest thing we find out is that there's another curse on our bad guy's side that we have not met yet. When interrogating the one dude, he's not afraid to talk. He's just not always cooperating with what they exactly want out of him. He kind of rambles about just things that are apparently not as important to them. But one thing he said was very notable. He mentioned that he was brought in by this monk, an androgynous monk. He couldn't tell what their gender was. And not that you can always tell, but a lot of anime aren't going to follow that reality. But that this monk had a white bowl cut, and it showed them, and it's like, okay, you have definitely not been seen before. So we have someone new who is just being introduced on the bad guy's side. And I have a lot of questions about who this is. All we know is that they're, I guess, a monk. And that they're androgynous. And a curse. So, I'm very interested in that. I like their design. I do like their design. So, there's that. But it's definitely concerning to find out that there's more to these evil forces that we just have not met yet. At least the main leading members of these forces. Because it's like, yeah, there's going to be smaller guys here and there, like the two curse users that were brought in for this mission. It's like, oh yeah, these two are obviously just brought in specifically to add to their forces during this mission, during this invasion. They're not like main members of the bad guys or anything. So it seems like this monk is, though, that based on what we're hearing. We just haven't seen them before. And that could be for a number of reasons. But yeah, so the big things we're kind of still working towards at the moment now is going to be the Halloween event in Shibuya, I believe it was. So I don't know what that's going to be or how that's going to affect things. But that's going to be certainly interesting. I can say that for certain. I don't know if we're going to get that this season, though. If we do, it's going to lead into next season. And if we do, it's going to be kind of the last thing we really end off on this season, to where it's going to be like, oh, this event happens, it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be short, quick, insane, and there's not going to be much of anything that can be done about it, but it's going to really build into next season strongly. That's what I'm thinking. Or it's just going to wait until next season. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Jujutsu Kaisen? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.